Borderlands 4 is right around the corner, and shockingly, I have never played a Borderlands game. Well, that's not quite true. I played a very small amount of Borderlands, the first Borderlands. My brother loved it, and he tried to convince me, like, you know, someone who has got their favorite movie, like, go, you gotta see this, you gotta play this. And I was like, it's okay. I actually wasn't really into looter shooters until Destiny came along, and we've been going back and playing a lot of looter shooters. We've done Division Survival, actually. Division 2, went back and played Anthem. It's nice to do like a retrospective review. It's not really a review though. It's more like, did you enjoy this game? Let's talk about whether you enjoyed this game. Was this your favorite movie, your favorite game? I want to share your joy for video games and have a chat about them. And so I went and played Borderlands 2. And these videos are always from that perspective. I want to feel the joy you have with a video game, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to give you my thoughts of things that put me off about the game. So I'm going to start with all the things that I've loved about Borderlands 2. I've only put about 20 hours in, and I say I've only put 20 hours in because that is really not enough time with Borderlands 2. And spoiler alert, I'm on the border of whether I actually want to keep playing more of it. So, and I will get to why I'm kind of feeling that way. And you let me know whether you had the same feeling when you first played Borderlands 2, or you're like, no, Myelin, you suck. You're wrong. It's a masterpiece. If you want to see more, a like and a comment, greatly appreciated. If you like this kind of style, we'll do more. I'll play more. I'll get to the end game more. And I'll go through Borderlands 3 too. It's probably be a fun series. So let me know if you want more thoughts. But this is my gut reaction after 20 hours of Borderlands 2 for the very, very first time in 2025. All right, starting with the things that I really enjoyed and liked about Borderlands 2. Firstly, and I kind of expected this, is like the campaign, the dialogue, the characters, the storytelling, all those things mixed together was very enjoyable. Every character was memorable, enjoyable. I can see after multiple playthroughs how you have like quotes that stick in your head. My God, I was at family dinner on not the weekend, yesterday. And I was like, oh, brother, my twin brother, I was playing Borderlands. Like, yeah, I saw you playing Borderlands. And he starts reeling off like quotes from characters. I'm like, oh my God, you still remember that from years and years later? And I can see why. Very stark contrast. I just did an Anthem playthrough. Man, all these characters like are instantly memorable. They've got great lines. I think the writing is so risky. I mean, I don't know if it was risky back then. It is incredibly risky now. Sometimes like, I don't know if we can say this anymore. I'm sure that's why people love it as well. But they feel like real characters, and it sticks to landing. I think it's risky sometimes to have this kind of like humor and writing because it's right on the border of people going, oh, that is incredibly cringe. Like, that's not funny at all, and being hilarious. And, you know, I don't know how you describe that in video games or writing in general. It's obviously very personal preference, but I do think Borderlands 2 nails it. Obviously, I've heard general conversations about Borderlands 3, and I'm kind of interested to see how I think about Borderlands 3. But with Borderlands 2, you know, story, campaign, characters, writing, dialogue, voice acting, they're all top-notch, enjoyable. And what I really do like about it is punchy and it keeps its pace, which I think is really important for a loot and shooter. It's one of the things I heavily criticized about Anthem when we went back and played it, even though I thought Anthem had potential, is my God, that campaign was a slog and you're just like, when is it over? Whereas Borderlands, you know, a lot of the time it's like a couple of sentences and then they're yapping in your ear as you're going out into the area, the Borderlands, is that what it's called? Going out into, you know, onto a mission, and it lets you get straight back into action pretty quickly. But I don't think it really misses, you know, any story like character building. Like it delivers character very quick and punchy, and you know what's going on, and you can follow the story, and that's lovely. Handsome Jack also, I think, is a great villain, just an absolute lunatic. I don't know anything more about Handsome Jack apart from what occurs in a single run through in Borderlands 2. I did a bunch of side missions. I did pretty much side missions for 2 whole streams, so like 16 hours. I just did every side mission. I think the side missions, is this wrong to say this? I think the side missions are probably better than the main quest. I don't know if better is the right word. they're almost like necessary and essential for the whole world building. I feel like they are definitely part of the experience. Often in games, side missions are optional. These kind of feel mandatory just to get the feeling of Borderlands. The pizza party with Claptrap was so classic. Like, I felt sorry for this little robot. I invited all the people to come to his party and no one came along. And of course, I had Shooty McShootface too. Everyone was just waiting in the live stream, waiting for that to happen. So I did a Ninja Turtle side mission. Was that a side mission? I'm pretty sure that was a side mission. Yeah, it was like, a lot of Easter eggs and pop culture put into the side missions too, which was very fun to go through. So I don't think I'm sure all of you will agree, in the realm of campaign, character, dialogue, voice acting, side missions, like, yeah, it is a really good package and a really good experience. There is a big but there, which we'll get to in a second, and it's not Ellie's. Got him. Cool. Next thing would be art design and direction. The cell shading, I think, holds up still in year 2025. I think it looks bloody great. I love the effects of weapons. I love the element. I assume they're called elemental effects, like both the fire and the corruption. Is it corruption? Like the toxicity where they kind of melt when you apply that to them. How some bullets have bullet drop and they loop and they don't even go in the right direction sometimes. Like, I don't know if people like or don't like that, but I kind of like how guns are just not accurate at all. It really adds to the feel for me. I like that. I like getting up and in the faces of enemies and blasting them. And I enjoyed all the different kinds of effects with bullets. The cell shading, I think, holds up incredibly well. I don't even know how, but this game is like 8 gig. I downloaded this on Steam. It's like 8 gig. Like, how does this only come out as 8 gigabytes? Like, I think that's incredibly impressive. And I can see why people fell in love with the art design and the cell shading of Borderlands. And I'm trying to think if any game has really done it as good or even done it really at all to match Borderlands level. Like, I feel like they own that aesthetic, that theme really well. The last thing I think that I really enjoyed and was, obviously a gut reaction to the game. I'm like, holy hell, is the loot system. I mean, this is what Borderlands in general is known for. And I kind of knew a little bit about it. Like, I knew there was this almost like modular system and there's just like an immense amount of combinations, but that's all I really knew about the system, that, you can get part of a barrel, part of the weapon body, I think. And then I think it's the grip, but then you can also have like magazine and you can have like scope on it. But it wasn't until I really played the game where I realized like how huge that system is and how many options you have. And I think where Borderlands is separated from other games, I played a lot of Path of Exile, a lot of Path of Exile 2, obviously a lot of Destiny. I did a bunch of Division, Anthem. Nearly all those games, the loot looks pretty similar. Like, Destiny uses certain archetypes and then, wraps different skins around them, but you know what gun it is, but it's archetype. But the real part of the gun you're looking at is like the random rolls. And, similar to like Path of Exile, Diablo, you're looking at a weapon and going, oh, what's its crit rate, right? You're looking at the perks of the weapon. It's perks or it's, stats of the weapon. Not so much like the look of the weapon. I think that's where Borderlands really stands apart, is the way that they have this modular system where this weapons manufacturer barrel can be randomly applied to this body, to this grip, and that makes, I'm going to say a unique weapon, but I know unique, so like its own thing in Destiny, in Borderlands, right? It makes a unique weapon with its own title. It's very overwhelming at first, but I think it's simple to grasp. And what I really like about it is you see unique looking weapons. You're like, oh, I want to pick that up and play with it. I want to shoot that. I want to see what it does. I want to see if I like this weapons manufacturer. I don't think another game rivals loot dropping and not just wanting to look at its stats, but just use it because it looks cool. I think that, and you tell me why you like the loot in Destiny. Oh my God. In Borderlands, I think that is like, obviously it's staple, it's thing it's most well known for, and something that I think is just incredibly impressive, how you have these random combinations of weapons, and they're not just like the look makes a difference for the stats. I really want to do a deep dive on the loot because I still don't actually fully understand it. I want to go a little bit further and actually know it better. Once again, I was talking to my brother. I was like, bro, how do you know what's good? He's like, oh, yeah. You get used to it. Like, once you've played it for thousands of hours, you start understanding like what everything looks like and like what would be good and what's not good. And you look at it, you're like, yeah, I now can shoot. I was like, I do feel like I want to get to that level. But on the simple service, you know, you have this, the rarity system, which has more colors than I thought there would be. And was a little bit confusing, but definitely not a complaint. And then like a level system too, which, you know, for a new player, just like, I'm going to put the highest level thing on. It looks cool. It's a high rarity. I'm going to go shoot it and see if it makes a difference. And of course you have different reasons to use different elements, you know, whether you want to get rid of shields or, you know, do extra damage to flesh or corrupt armor, that kind of stuff. So super impressed with the loot system, knew a little bit about it, want to learn more about it. I would be super interested in doing like a deep dive into how Borderlands created the best loot system ever, but I don't understand enough of it yet. Cool. I did do a little bit of legendary farming too, and by that I mean I actually got the Hornet on my very first drop. So I got a legendary straight off the bat. You know, super dopamine hit. Like, oh wow, this thing carried me hard, which I enjoyed. And then I did a little bit of farming on a boss to get Infinity, I think it was. But there you go. The best things, I think, the campaign, the dialogue, the characters, side missions are fantastic, art design and direction, and the loot. But what's the buts? Why? I mean, it sounds like I want to play a lot more, but why am I kind of hesitant to play more? Let me tell you. I was actually shocked by the gameplay loop of Borderlands, Borderlands 2 anyway, because I didn't actually know this is how you played the game. I didn't realize how campaign heavy it was. I actually just wrongly assumed it would be like The Division, like Anthem, like Destiny, like Diablo, like Path of Exile, where you have this kind of separate campaign that you run through. And then you have like separate activities that you go off and do to like grind. It was only until I got to the end of the campaign and chat's like, okay, now do it again. And you're actually gonna have to do it another time until you can reach max rank. And I'm actually not too sure what comes after. And this is all the question. If you make this video pop off, I will get to endgame and then I'll give you my thoughts at endgame. Chat was trying to explain to me the other activities you can do once you get through those campaign cycles and get to like endgame, I guess. And I honestly couldn't really understand what was going on. I don't know how I'm just saying, don't get angry at me. I don't know how I feel about that. It was definitely a shock to me. I was expecting a much more typical approach to loot and shooter, but I guess Borderlands is the grandpappy of the looter shooter, right? This is before those formulas came through. And you know, to be honest, I'm being a little bit hypocritical here because I'm often, you know, hypocritical of Destiny for like recycling content and having you run, you know, strike missions over and over again. And I should be happy with the alternative of a good campaign to rerun. But I am on the fence of having to redo the campaign. I thought it was great, but I don't know if I really want to like replay it as a way of grinding up. So that was my first but I don't know how I feel about this. I'm interested in what you think about replaying campaigns, what you thought about it at the time, what you think about it now. Do you think it's outdated? Do you think it's fine? Do you think it's great because the campaign's great, the character's great, and the dialogue's great, and you get to experience it a second time? The next thing that I just want more of is not necessarily more loot, but I definitely want to get to the build crafting more because I've only done 20 hours. I'm only just starting to really unlock, I don't know what you call subclass, your abilities, your skill tree, right? I've only just started to really get to the bottom of that skill tree, and I haven't really been making a build. I've just been putting on weapons I think look cool and seem fun and seem powerful and just blasting everything. And I don't really think I've got to the build crafting yet. And I think that does come later. And when I asked chat what their favorite things about the game was, it was like, well, the build crafting has lots of variety. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that yet. And I think what I personally would love to see is I just want to get there a little bit quicker. I'm a bit impatient if you haven't been able to tell. I'd love to just feel that build crafting a little bit more. With all that being said, I think Borderlands does it better than a lot of other games because the loot is so interesting and it kind of encourages you to pick it up and play with everything early on. I would still love to have a little bit more build crafting early on, or at least, like, you know, maybe I do have it now that I'm going through a second playthrough and I can start playing around a little bit more. But 20 hours in, I was feeling a little bit disappointed because I think the loot is fantastic and I just want to do more with it. The other thing that really stood out for me was no real movement options, especially coming from nearly all the other games, Anthem, Division, even Path of Exile, Destiny. You know, you have a lot of movement options to evade enemies, to flank enemies, to reposition. I don't know if you really have that in Borderlands 2. It really comes down to like making sure you have the right gun for the right scenario and just generally positioning on the map. And I did find that I was like, damn, do I have movement options here? Do I have ways of dodging or blocking or doing different stuff to get around enemies? And I would have loved to have a little bit more of that in Borderlands 2. Now, I'm assuming some of these things are actually addressed in future Borderlands. When I spoke about on these, like, you know, my personal thoughts on the game on stream, a lot of people said, you're probably going to like Borderlands 3. I don't know if I'm going to like Borderlands 4, but I guess we'll find out when we get there. Lastly, I didn't really know. I don't know if you call Borderlands an open world. It's not really an open world. It's very similar to Destiny with these sort of bubbles, these sections of areas you go through. Love the environment. Love the layout of the environment. If I was to be picky, sometimes I felt like the enemy density just wasn't quite there. It was a little bit empty. And I was getting weapons that I just wanted to play with and use to see if I liked them, and then I could discard them. And sometimes be like, where are the enemies at? Like, I want to shoot stuff so I can see if I like this gun or not, and I can trash it or keep it. There you go. That's my criticism of a game. How many years old from Borderlands 2? Obviously, I enjoyed a bunch of stuff, which I think you've probably enjoyed. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on someone like me, given things I didn't like about Borderlands 2. Did you like them? Did you dislike them? Did you think something different at the time? Do you think something different now? If you want to see more, like and comment, greatly appreciate it. I will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye. Peace.